I had someone, I'd be riding in the sun, having fun.
Hello, commercial streams. Welcome in. We're setting up for a double coder radio stream today. And before we get going, I wanted to play the last story of the day for the launch. And it is a continuation from a story we picked up in episode 7, and that is pharmacies in the United States that remain offline because of a basic B ransomware attack.
Nearly 1 week after a cyber attack hit the nation's largest health insurer, thousands of pharmacies are still facing disruptions, fulfilling prescription drug orders.
You potentially get into life and death scenarios where patients can't gain health care, or in this case, patients can't gain access to prescription medication.
The attack crippled Change Healthcare's digital network, which is a part of United Healthcare. The company says it took immediate action to prevent further impact. Pharmacies use Change's network to verify insurance coverage.
And if you have a very expensive medication, you might be stuck in a position where you have to pay cash in order to get it, at least temporarily.
Times are hard these days.
So I've realized why this story is going around. It took me a minute to kind of put it together because it's circulating in various different versions. We see this version, this report before. We've seen a couple of others from local news agencies. This one's from ABC News. One was from NBC News. And it sounds like there is a proposal in the halls of D.C. to make it a federal crime to pay a ransomware ransom. Now, how about that? So, and they're classifying it as a cyber attack. And just like, banning drugs and banning certain types of guns and all that kind of stuff always works, I'm sure this will work just fine as well. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely bonkers how far and how bad this has gotten. The once former Vice News covered the problem not long ago.
Welcome to Cryptoland. I'm Krishnan Devolu, and today we're talking about how cryptocurrency has changed the game of cybercrime.
And the problem you're going to have here is now that we have a new technology that enables internet transfers of value, you're going to have new types of crime that can take advantage of that. It's what happened when we got the phone. It's what happened when we got the car and roads. It is human nature to take advantage of new technologies and abuse this stuff. And we're going to have apparently end users that have incorrect permissions, and we're going to have apparently companies that don't have proper backups. This is a major problem. We have always-on connections, computers that are running with insecure permissions, improper backups, and you have crypto technology like Bitcoin or Monero or anything out there that could choose any of them to transfer value immediately. And all of these things are coming together to make this horrible, horrible recipe that is ransomware. And all of it could be solved with proactive action. And it just really grinds my gears that this doesn't get more attention. So now it seems to have caught the attention of those in D.C. because another ransomware outbreak has happened.
United Health says the ransomware group is Black Cat and they're actually behind the cyber attack on its inflated It's actually affiliated with impacted patients and healthcare workers across the country. Change Healthcare helps pharmacies verify a patient's insurance coverage for their prescriptions. Now, United Healthcare says it's working with law enforcement and third-party consultants, but the outage could last for days or weeks.
See, I think we have to stop. I'm very serious about this. I think we have to stop calling ransomware cyber attacks. They are corporate malfeasance. We have to change the language around this because it excuses the malpractice by the companies that enable this to happen in the first place. And we do this so often in media coverage and in government. We don't actually address the root cause of a problem. If you simply don't run with admin privileges and you have proper network permissions and proper backups, you are immune from a ransomware attack. At worst, it's the time it takes you to recover the data. They've been out for a week. They can't fill prescriptions for more than a week. It's completely unacceptable, and calling it a cyber attack. And we have federal agencies like the FBI that are so overly joyed to participate in this. Oh yes, let us step in and solve this problem for you.
A ransomware attack is crippling the healthcare system and leaving some patients waiting for prescriptions.
And 22 News reporter Alana Flood is live in the studio after speaking with a cybersecurity expert about why the healthcare industry is being targeted.
Nick and Ciara, Change Healthcare's systems remain down for a 9th day now after a ransomware attack last week. As a result of the attack, healthcare providers are facing financial pressures as reimbursement systems remain down.
Jeez.
And doctors have said the outage has left them unable to check patients' eligibility for treatment or to fill prescriptions electronically. Change Healthcare said on Thursday a ransomware group is behind the attack.
It's just unbelievable that we are 9 days into this now. Children's Hospital was also recently hit.
It's this morning about the cyber attack at Lurie Children's Hospital that brought down the phones, email, and other technology there. In the last hour, we got a statement from the hospital saying it is aware of claims that a group called Ransomware, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, I'll get for sure on that. Is behind the ransomware attack. So now we're aware it's a ransomware attack.
Ransomware.
Lurie added they continue to work with police and security experts. Happening today, attorneys for a man shot.
So obviously this is going to lead to legislation. That's where this goes. That's where this takes us next. Is legislation where it makes it illegal to pay for these ransomware attacks, but that doesn't solve the problem at all. It doesn't solve the problem. Proper backups, proper user controls, having machines that are imaged and ready to go, putting something on a different network. There are so many technical solutions to this. And yet we have children's hospitals that are out, doctors that are out, pharmacies that are out, oil companies that go down for ransomware. It's so pathetic. And it's a story. You have always on, you have bring your own devices, you have improper backups, you have cryptocurrencies that make it easy to make these payments anonymously or semi-anonymously. You have got a perfect storm. Plus users just screwing around online all the time. A perfect storm that brings this in, and it requires proper mitigation by IT. If this is not a new problem, there's lots of things like this that IT mitigates as much as they can. It just takes proper support and direction. I don't know. I've been on this. The reason why I come at this with so much steam and stink is because I've been on this since TechSnap, when we watched ransomware become a thing for the very first time. Been on this since then. And here we are, still. And now it's a national issue with the critters in D.C. coming up with federal action to save us all. We truly are in the dog days, my friends. One last song. Thank you for joining me on the final recorded version of The Launch. I'd love to have you join me live Tuesday mornings when we do Coda Radio. We won't be live next week. I'm traveling, but that's when I'll be doing The Launch. Now, I played Dog Days right here by Josh and Austin for you. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. Well, if you're listening live.
Reminiscing on the dark days of the 16th summer, like a cold course light in the back of that Hummer. Pure bliss, it was you and no other. Whoa. Killer, 24 hour chilling by the pool cover. Young dumb kids hanging after school, heading nowhere fast, and that's that route. Whoa. Reminiscing on the dark days of the 16th summer, crack a cold course light in the back of that Hummer. Pure bliss, it was you and no other. chilling by the pool. Couple young dumb kids hanging after school, heading nowhere fast on the nights that rule. Whoa. Remember those nights like they were yesterday. Feelings like that just don't fade away. Every time that you're going away, small problems seem to carry more weight. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Feeling so good, watch it fade away. I've been up for hours and it's getting late. Time and time again, I'm stuck in my head. Oh girl, no need to rush. Can we stick together when it's pushed to show up? Now it's gone, now it's gone. Reminiscing on the dark days of the 16th summer. Crack a cold Coors Light in the back of that pure bliss, it was you and no one. Whoa. Killer, 24-hour chillin' by the pool. Couple young dumb kids hanging after school, heading nowhere fast on the nights that rule. Whoa. We can't be over if I'm getting under you. That's just the truth, just the truth. Wish it was easy, no, I'm hard to love. Just a man on the loose, on the loose. Might need another cigarette, couple cold drinks, and the internet to bring up the last night with you. Couldn't find where the feeling went, so I slow dance with your silhouette like we perfectly match in this burning room. We can't be over if I'm getting under you. That's just the truth, just the truth. Wish it was easy, no, I'm hard to love. Just a man on the loose, on the loose. Might need another cigarette, couple cold drinks, and the internet to bring up the last night with you. Couldn't find where the feeling went, so I slow dance with your silhouette like we perfectly match in this burning room, in this burning room. Said the last time was the last time before. Blame the whiskey, but you don't seem too sure. Not many roads I can drive through this town, but that one leading me straight to your door. I can't lie, it's the first on the right. Used to park, tell each other everything is different tonight. No, we both feel the same, getting burned from the flame. But I don't wanna let you go yet, cause we can't be over if I'm getting under you. That's just the truth, just the truth. Wish it was easy, no, I'm hard to love. Just a man on the loose, on the loose. Might need another cigarette, couple cold drinks, and the internet to bring up the last night with you. Couldn't find where the feeling went, so I slow dance with your silhouette like we perfectly match in this burning room, in this burning room.
Oh, apparently the Puget Systems computer company has a podcast.
Slightly better variants from what we had before.
Oh, look
so
at this. This is very nerdy.
Super,
I love it.
70 Super.
I didn't know
In
this.
both cases, it's like the one we had, but with like a little bit more CUDA cores, maybe a little bit higher.
Boy, you really got to be, you got to be into the details for that. You got to really be into the details to enjoy that, I think. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I don't have that open.
Well, you should open it. You know,
Okay.
that's what I always say.
I agree. That's how I got these kids to let me back into this universe. Just open it, children. Me and my good friend Harvey.
Yeah, I don't know what I did wrong with this. I don't know. I might have done something wrong with the feeds, guys. I don't know. It could be. If one of them's not reporting this live, it very well could be my own fault, not the app's fault. You know, I sit here and I push buttons. I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it don't. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I'll do another update. I'll push out another update to see if it knows it's live, and then you guys can see if it shows up for me. I got the title bot started, so I think we're good there. I should probably use the little coders room myself before we start. You know, just so that, because we're doing a dubs. We're doing a dubs today. We're doing a big fat dubs. So,
well, remember, I'm on the magical P drugs, so I will probably need a 2-minute break.
Yeah, no, I got. You know what? For you, man, a 3-minute break. How about that?
It is quite a bit of urine.
Oh my God! I mean, not to go into too much detail, but some mornings, I think it's like all the, I'd have like a morning shake. I'll pee 5 times in a morning. That's ridiculous.
Dude, 160 milligrams of Lasix. Woo! It's a lot of urine.
That is a lot. What can I play while I use the little coders room that won't get us in trouble?
I'll just harass the chat room.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I can.
Don't worry, I will sexually harass the chat room.
Yeah, that's probably good. That should go fine. Yeah. All right. There you go, chat room. Enjoy that.
Takov is here. Hello, Takov. I know you. Captain T-Rex. Now that's a good name. I was about to say there were bugs. Oh, yeah. Everything's broken. How come I never see the smoking rabbits and stuff? That's weird. It's not harassment, it's welcome. Fair enough. Yes, we have a double today. Un double, as they say. And we have stats. Hang on. What does that say? Wow. All right. Oh, this must be Fountain, right?
Yeah, I know. It shows. I know it shows Lup is live. I know. I don't think I messed up the artwork either. I think it's just. I don't know. Something stuck somewhere. Something's cached somewhere. You know how stuff.
Those damn Linux hippies screwed with the server.
You know how that is. Like stuff just gets. Yeah, because I switched out the coder art and everything. I'm looking at my Sovereign feeds entry right now, and it's all set right. So I don't know.
Oh, we're all right.
Who knows, man? You know, tide comes in, tide comes out. Can't explain that. You know, can't explain that. At least I can't. All right, let me see if I got, yes, I got that. And let's get on the coders. Coder, yep, boomsies.
This is the correct doc. Yes, it is.
Probably.
Okay.
All right. I'm feeling ready.
All right.
Chat room, please bang suggest as we go along. We do need your titles. That is, oh my gosh. There was an episode 8 years ago where nobody titled anything, and that episode never got released. So
we were wounded for 3 days each. Yeah.
So my God, don't repeat that mistake.
Much like Meta. Ooh, too soon.
Hello, Drew.
What up, Drew?
Let's count to 3, 4. Let's count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Yeah. We did it. Oh, okay. I see. There's a double entry in live. Is what's wrong. So, you know, some of these tools I use to do some of this like live stream stuff, they don't do any air checking. So, like, if you put a slash where you're supposed to put a comma and it blows up the entire thing, it won't check for that. Or like if you publish something live, but you still have one that's published as not live, or as you can't, like, it won't double check that you don't have 2 shows that are live, which is apparently what the problem is. And so, I don't know. It's just like there's no air checking at all. There's no like validation that, oh, hey, buddy, you just flipped this live, but actually your last stream is live too. Like, why not hook a brother up and be like, hey, man, you sure you want to publish this live when you've already got a live stream? You know what I mean? Hook a brother up.
Yeah, that's more work.
It sure is for me. But I'm fixing it right now. Since we're going to have a double, I might as well fix it. Sorry, Drew.
Un double.
Uh-huh.
That's the way. I like it.
There we go. So, I've been using this Immersed app.
Ooh.
To do like virtual screens and stuff. And they just drop support for the workaround I use for Linux, which is I put in these virtual dongles, dummy dongles, to make virtual displays. Then I bring those into the VR environment, and they're just dropping that feature. Just as I started getting used to it. Tell you what, that is just been rugged. I got rugged. Just cut right from underneath me. Right out from underneath me. Rugged. Just rugged. Yeah.
I like rugged as a verb. I've been rugged, guys.
Yeah, I got rugged. Okay, I re-updated it. I don't know. That's probably the best I can do. We'll see if it works. Thanks for troubleshooting that with me. All right. Now we're ready to start. Please bang suggest. Here we go in 3, 2. This is Cuda Radio, episode 560 for March 5th, 2024. Hey friends, welcome in to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business, software development, and the world of technology. My name is Chris over here in the Pacific Northwest, and our host, yes, he's over there in Florida, it's Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Fisher?
Oh, I'm like great, I guess. I'm like super great, I suppose. I mean, Meta's having kind of a rough morning, so that Schadenfreude is always fun. I don't know. Did you see this? Facebook, Instagram was all down this morning. Their Meta services logging.
I only saw it because I checked Twitter.
Yeah.
And my Twitter feed was like, oh my God, did I get hacked on Facebook?
Isn't that hilarious? They all came flooding. They all came flooding over to Weapon X. As we record now, things are coming back online, and it looks like Meta has explained it that basically an error in the automation system got replicated, and things just went crazy. This is the third or fourth time we've come on the show and been like, so-and-so was down this morning due to their automation system going crazy. This is the new way companies just take themselves out. Who needs a DDoS? Your automation system goes crazy.
All those script kiddies with their now cold, lying, disused ion cannons. You know what? We had a lot of fun you had a lot of fun in the aughts. Definitely not me. Definitely not. No. Remember. Moving on.
Fuck the EU.
Well, actually, I'm really in a great mood today because your good buddy, Victoria Nuland, has announced that she's retiring.
How could you be happy about this?
Well, this is, I think, it's time. I think we've had enough wars. I think we've overthrown enough governments. She's had a career in that, and 3 or 4 countries is enough. I think if you start throwing over like 5, 6, 7, if you get to like 10 countries, well, then history is going to look at you badly. But if you stop now when you're like 3 or 4, they're never even going to remember your name as like the architect of overthrowing these countries.
No. Coups are like hot wings, okay?
Okay.
3 or 4 is not even close to enough.
Oh, really?
You need I don't know, whatever's going to make you sick the next day, a dozen.
Oh, well, yeah, probably. It depends, especially if they're like the really garlicky ones. Oh, boy.
Ooh, or those the Carolina barbecue sauce.
And I think that's her. Yeah.
I know, but she, I find her very entertaining. And I honestly, I'm going to miss her, hacked radio intercepts.
That's true. It was years of fun for us. I'll miss her.
I mean, you got to give her one thing. She's honest, right? Just right up there. F the EU.
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. There's lots of great clips of her giving all kinds of just brutally honest testimony to Congress that you hear and you're like, what? We're doing what?
Yeah, I can't remember the specific one, but it basically boiled down to they asked her a question like, do you think the United States is interfering? She's like, what do you think you pay us for?
Yeah.
The fuck are you like? What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of maybe I'm at the point of crotchety where, I mean, you're correct that it's unfortunate everything she did, but I just have to respect her honesty, right? She doesn't dress it up in BS,
right?
It's just F the EU. Here's what we're gonna do. we're gonna maybe blow up a pipeline somewhere.
It's great.
Also, it's not on your doc, but this is our little quick unfiltered segment. So Tucker applied and failed to join the CIA. We just let that one go.
Oh yeah, no, that's a thing he's mentioned before. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Putin was like, "Good thing they didn't take you." I'm like, what? What? That interview? I haven't seen someone get roasted like that since I was like 8 years old, getting roasted by my old man. Like, that was horrible.
Yeah.
He should be embarrassed. Like, he just sat there in his face. He didn't know what to say.
It's a career wrecker. That's a career wrecker, possibly.
Well, and it just shows you, like, dude, Putin's no slouch. He just owned this guy while keeping a perfectly level tone and calm and, no.
I suppose. I watched the whole thing and I found it to be very, very boring. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh.
You found it boring? I found it hilarious.
Excruciatingly boring.
Oh, I just felt like this is like a kid who is also like, what, a 52-year-old man or something, who walked into the teacher's office completely unprepared, just demolished.
Well, that's probably how Apple feels right now. They are very, very salty about a $2 billion.
A Putin?
Yeah, a Putin. A $2 billion EU antitrust fine for abusing the App Store.
Please, that's Tim Cook's like cleaning bill, but keep going.
I don't know, man. They do not seem to be taking it laying down. Apple says that Spotify is the primary advocate and the biggest beneficiary of the EU's ruling. Apple says that Spotify pays Apple nothing, but then benefits from Apple technical support, APIs, consultations with their engineers, specific extensive support, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Spotify says that Apple hurt their business by not allowing them to display cheaper options to subscribe inside the app. Of course, Spotify, based in Sweden, dominates Europe's music streaming market with a 56% share. So it's not like Apple's a monopoly over there. Also, the European Commission's decision precedes the Digital Markets Act's implementation, which we've talked about recently. So there's a lot going on over there right now. And Apple, I mean, in a rare post-Steve Jobs moment, took to their website and shamed Spotify, shamed the EU in very plain, salty, Apple-esque language. I haven't seen this for a while. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm really mixed on this. Maybe you could help me come to a final decision on this. But having said, I mean, again, I really feel like we should be able to sideload apps. Apple's control over the App Store is ridiculous. A 30% cut should be addressed. But I guess if I just come back to like if I compare the App Store to a physical store like Walmart or a mall, none of what Apple is doing seems egregious. And I don't think it's also unusual that a mall or a Walmart would have very specific rules around signage and what you tell the customers.
Well, and sweetheart deals with preferred merchants.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is one that's kind of strange to me because it's so specific. I sort of wonder if Apple, like, they use their platform advantage to basically favor Apple Music, right?
Sure, yeah.
But are we going to say you can't have complementary businesses inside one business? Because that seems crazy. On the other hand, the way they routinely screw Spotify, like, to me, this is from years ago, but like the whole CarPlay thing before they opened up CarPlay was like, okay, that's just brutal, right? That's really hardcore. But they eventually, kicking and screaming, come to terms with this stuff. I don't know. Drew was educating me a bit on Spotify. So disclosure, I have not been a Spotify subscriber for years. For the reason that Spotify complains of. I already subscribe to iCloud, and that gives me Apple Music, and I see no reason to pay twice.
Right.
But like, totally rational decision on my part, right? Why would I pay for the same thing? I know Spotify's slightly better. I don't particularly care about I actually don't like their podcasting platform very much. I've tried it. I'm not a fan. I think the way they present podcasts is actually pretty low quality. I'm not a big fan of Apple's podcast app either, but I would say Apple does a better job in terms of making podcasts discoverable.
Well, and I think you touched on something. It's already adjacent to Apple's business. Before they had an iPhone, they had the iTunes Music Store.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I don't like Apple's App Store policies. I think if people might be shocked to hear me say that. But this one weird case, I'm like, I don't know. Spotify, like, yeah, what do you want Apple to do? Charge itself 30%?
Okay, exactly. That's their core argument. And I have some sympathy for it, but their core argument is they can never be as competitive on the Apple platform because Apple isn't going to take a 30% cut, where they are always going to take a 30% cut from Spotify.
All right, so somebody made this argument to me after one of our shows a few months ago, and it really struck me.
But I don't think Spotify is paying any cut. Remember, they have a carve-out for certain streaming apps. I don't think that is true, actually. But I could be wrong.
No, I think streaming is video streaming.
Okay.
I think the carve-out is like Netflix. Although, no, Netflix won't let you pay an app anymore. So who the hell knows? This is the other thing with all these court cases, the App Store rules are... In fact, I got something right before the show with updated App Store rules that are like... Here, I'll read you one line out of it. Hang on, give me 1 second.
How exciting.
Okay. Hi, hello, the Mad Bot, or the App Store, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Where was the one that I found really shocking? Hang on. Here it is. And what I find surprising is how actually like generous and like not evil this part is. Bug fix submissions. So the prior section to this is them saying if you screw with us in the EU with your sideloaded app store, we will block all your updates. And if you don't comply in time, we'll rip your app off the app store.
Oh, lovely.
And we will. So they still retain the power to revoke your certificate to sideload. So this is going back to court, right? Because somebody's going to piss them off and they're just going to revoke their certificate and they still won't be able to, outside of the Cydias of the world, they still won't be able to have their app be installed on mainstream iPhones. But this was interesting to me, this one carve out. Bug fix submissions is the heading. Added that bug fix submissions will not be delayed for apps that are already on alternative app marketplaces, except for those cases that are legal or deemed to be safety issues. So even if you piss them off and you're in like that weird period, and I know a lot of iOS developers know exactly what I'm talking about, when you're filling out their weird little text field, talking to the amorphous Apple rep who won't tell you their name, right? They will still allow you to do bug fix updates. I'm sure they're going to aggressively look at those updates to make sure they're just like, here's the bug, here's the fix. But that used to not be their policy. In fact, that used to be a leverage point for them. And I know this from personal experience for a couple clients, that when they want to clamp down on you and you have an urgent fix you need to get out, I'm not psychic, but they behave as though they see that as an opportunity, as a tight little leverage opportunity, right?
I think where I sympathize with the situation for Spotify is their complaint that they can't show messages to their users inside their app.
Well, that's been the big complaint, right?
Yeah, I know.
But again,
I see it.
Again,
I can see it.
Okay, this is the argument the dude made to me a couple weeks ago. If you're Best Buy, are you gonna? And Best Buy, for some reason, first of all, they probably wouldn't, but they allowed. He said they allowed Alice into the Alice floppy disk software into their store, but on the top of the box you put go to alice.dev and buy it for 20% less. They would never allow that.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So,
and I hate it, and I also understand it, and I'm just, part of me was sitting here thinking, maybe the solution is we never should have had any interference with how Apple locks things down. Let them go full hardcore. Let the market reject that and punish them from a sales standpoint. But I don't know if that would have been successful. But I don't think where we're at now is successful, because what changes? Spotify still can't advertise a cheaper place to go subscribe. They just get some of the money. Like nothing really happens except for Apple gets fined Tim Cook's cleaning bill. In fact, Spotify said, quote, "It does not solve Apple's bad behavior towards developers beyond music," end quote. So
yeah.
I just don't. It just seems like the worst.
This is my new hobby horse. The answer isn't restricting Apple's App Store control, because when you get down to the details, you either have to say they can't have an App Store, right? And I don't know how you go from where we are to that, or that they can't have software products that they sell. Which again, how do you go from where we are to that? I think the answer is the area and their aggressive reaction towards the PWA stuff and web technologies. I think they kind of believe this too. The real answer is, like, if the EU wants to do their thing, and more power to Brussels on this, force Apple to drop all restrictions on web technologies. And they can scream about security and privacy, but them's life is not without risk, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I pretty firmly believe that, like, the answer is we went off the rails in the aughts. It should have all been web tech.
That was the original idea. Now the good news is Apple's walking back that no web apps on the home screen crap in iOS 17.4. So they're walking that back. They say they're going to come, quote, up with an entirely new integration architecture that does not currently exist in iOS to address the, quote, complex security and privacy concerns associated with web apps using alternative browser engines.
Yeah, that just means they're going to find another way to control it.
Do they not have, like, process namespace isolation? Can they not just isolate these browsers in their own namespace? And, like, what is the big challenge here? What's the big deal?
Well, they do, because each browser instance would theoretically be the equivalent of an app, and the apps are all sandboxed.
Right.
So the big deal is they don't want to allow a free-for-all. Because I truly believe that Apple knows that really the future is for front-end technology. It's just the web. Right, games are the obvious exception, but they just don't want to allow that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see them try to explain the complex security issue, because it would have to come down to, if there is one, just going with their argument for a second, to steelman it would suggest that there is a deficiency in iOS, because every other modern operating system, Android, macOS, Windows, Linux, all manages to somehow solve this, quote, complex security and privacy concern associated with web browsers using alternative browser engines. Somehow, every other OS since the 90s has managed to solve that complex problem. But there's a deficiency in iOS, and I'd love to know what that deficiency is.
That's not what they're going to say, man.
I know, but if they're telling the truth.
No, they're going to say there's deficiencies in the other web browser engines, and we feel passionately for the protection of our users that they should be using Safari WebKit. But if they choose to use other engines, we still feel the need to protect them, as is in line with our commitment to privacy and security. I could write the response for them. I understand, as technical guys, we know it's bullshit, but we're not, again, have you ever watched a Senate hearing? I'm just saying, it's, and I know this is the EU, but I can't imagine they're much better.
Thank you to our members. You guys are supporting this show directly this week. Coder.show over there, and we have a link to our membership at the top. You can go to coder.show/membership directly and sign up and support the show. There may still be some Jar Jar promo codes you can claim and take $2 a month off and get an ad-free version of the show, or you can support all the shows at jupiter.party. Or if you'd like to support each individual production, boost in. Get a new podcast app like Fountain FM, connect it to Strike, and send us a message and a boost. We really appreciate it. And we'll be pre-recording this week, so we'll be stacking those. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to our members. Well, I think I called this one last week accidentally. Apple, since we gathered, has announced a new 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Air with an M3 chip, and they call it, quote, the world's best consumer laptops for AI. With transition to Apple Silicon, every Mac is a great platform for AI, Apple writes. M3 includes a faster, more efficient 16-core neural engine along with accelerators in the CPU and GPU to boost on-device machine learning.
I think you called it too, because this is effectively their WWDC preview, right?
Yeah.
Take that exact language and there we go.
This is kind of, in a way, I'm surprised they showed their card so soon. Now, the reason they did is obvious. Apple's stock is taking a beating. People are talking about, well, they're no longer really in the Magnificent Seven. It's Tesla and Apple are getting a beating. Meanwhile, Meta and Microsoft and OpenAI and Tesla, well, Tesla not so much, but Amazon and these companies, they're doing very well because they all claim to have some moonshot AI play that has Wall Street all lathered up. And Apple was still playing the value gimmick where we were laying people off and trying to demonstrate to Wall Street that we can commit to spending less money. And Apple was still playing that game when all of a sudden the money got all hot and bothered and all of a sudden everybody wanted moonshots again. And Apple was, they're too slow. Like, what? Moonshot? And so now they're trying to desperately ramp it up and signal to the market that they do have an AI play, as they like to put it. However, the response to this has not been good. Too little, too late. They don't want just the ability to do more of the existing stuff. The market specifically wants to see something new. And I've heard generative Siri, a new chatbot. They want something brand new. And I think Apple's play isn't going to be that. I think Apple's play is going to be, we're going to build the best tools to run AI for consumers, right? They're going to have that consumer caveat because, sure, you could go get a $3,000 Nvidia card and have a better experience. But if you want to just spend $3,000 and have an entire computer with a 16-core neural processor, you can get an M3-based machine now. I think WWDC is going to be intense, though.
They have to put on a good show.
Yeah. They have to. Apple will put on a big AI song and dance. They're going to see this reaction, this lukewarm reaction to the M3 announcements for the Airs, and they're going to double down and make the dance as impressive as possible. And, when you're doing the whole thing pre-produced, you could really make it look like anything. Nothing has to work.
They could use ChatGPT's image generator to generate some of it.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's going to be a ripper. I think it's going to be a real ripper. So we'll see. In the meantime, they're going to be struggling. Sales are down 24% in China. It's if you got an M2. There's really no reason to get these M3s. If you got an M1, you're going to see some improvements for sure. But the focus on the neural core processor in the lead announcement. And then they also say, quote, MacBook Air can also run optimized AI models, including large language models and diffusion models for image generation locally with great performance. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I see what you're doing, Apple. I'm onto that game. I mean, it's the only play they really have. So we'll see. All right, shifting gears to Google for a moment. Sergey is popping back up, and he showed up at a Gemini hackathon after all of the hoopla, and the crowd wasn't expecting him, and this was the reaction when the co-founder walked in the room.
Thank you for coming. I think we don't need any introduction for him.
Thanks. I must admit, I rolled out of a lazy Saturday morning here. Rocky texted me. I wasn't really expecting an AI hackathon to be this huge.
So the room is full of people, and Sergey says he wasn't expecting it to be this big. He rolled out of a lazy Saturday morning. He shows up in basically pajamas. His hair's disheveled. He hasn't shaved. And he wasn't really prepared or prepped. So that's the disclaimer. But the horrible, embarrassing, ludicrous AI image generation topic came up during a crowd Q&A. And this was Sergey's answer as to what the problem was with that.
Okay. I wasn't really expecting to talk about this thing. But, we definitely messed up on the image generation. I think it was mostly due to just not thorough testing.
I'm a little disappointed in his answer. He says he admits they messed up on image generation, but he thinks it was mostly due to not thorough testing. Well, I'll mention this. The text generation is just as bonkers. and just as ludicrous. But testing, yeah, that was one of the problems. But they've been training this thing for years. They built a filtering layer on top of it, rumor has it, to filter people's answers. So that way, if you said, show me a group of people enjoying pizza, it would rewrite your query to say, show me a diverse group of people, one of them in a wheelchair eating pizza. The rumor that has come out from a Google employee online is that they actually had little rewrites to make your query more inclusive under the hood. All of that's intentional. All of the training and selection and data models, all of that's been intentional for years. Putting the AI safety crew in every single meeting, like a cop monitoring every meeting, and anybody that pushes against what the AI safety crew says immediately gets reported to HR as racist. That kind of cultural entrenched stuff is what actually led to this problem and is very, very, very much in need of addressing. And he says, well, it's due to a lack of testing.
What is he going to say, right? I mean, we have a huge kind of philosophical bias or issue here that caused us to make a pretty insane decision. And it broke our LLM.
No. What he says is the first part, yeah, we messed that up. And Google has got to get back to focusing on the information. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you can trust the results that come out of Google. And that's all you got to say. Because I again make the case that this is actually a ginormous, massive brand problem for them. Because Google search has gone from the thing that presents you the information and you select the results to now not only does Google choose the results you see, but Google's interpreting what you're asking them and very often shames you for the question. That's a big difference. And it makes me think that, and then we're not even getting to the fact that more often than we'd like, these LLMs are giving completely bogus made up answers about stuff. And Gemini has been one of the biggest offenders. One of the little jokes we've had around the family is we'll ask Gemini questions about the kids' favorite TV shows, like Gravity Falls or whatever it might be, and it completely makes crap up. Entire episodes, characters, narratives. It completely imagines them. So I can't trust the results. I can't trust how they'll treat me. It's like, I think the brand damage here is substantial, right as these LLMs are going to inevitably become the way people search the web once they finally do get good. But Google's isn't going to be the one anybody trusts. And then you have a moment where one of the co-founders comes out of the shadows after all of these years. Sundar Pichai down on the ropes, ready to be replaced. One of the original co-founders comes out and speaks. And that's what he tells us. Well, testing and stuff. I don't know. He didn't even shave. They're not going to fix this.
No, they're not going to fix it. They didn't even want to release this, right? This was all Lord Altman forcing their hand.
They only messed up their image generator too, according to him.
Yeah, but boy, did they. I mean, it's not true, but even if it was true, boy, did they mess it up.
Mark Andreessen said something that really resonated with me. We got really lucky they blew this up. They, along with others, have been lobbying, this is his words, lobbying with great intensity to establish a government-protected cartel to lock in their shared agenda and corrupt products for decades to come. And he's right.
Well, I will say, look at the, I hate to say the word mainstream, but mainstream tech press coverage of this. And I was listening to, The Good Professor today, and they were kind of poking fun at it, whatever, but not as much flack as folks got for when Microsoft did Tay, right? And she, became a Nazi. Tay was that early AI bot that Microsoft developed that they put on Twitter that went nuts. And I don't think that, this is hurting their stock price, but in reality, I don't think this hurts them so much in the tech press because of the direction they failed in. Had they failed the other way, it would have been, shall we play What's on the Verge today? Let's do it. iOS 17.4 is here and ready for a whole new Europe. That's a nothing story. Okay, with sold news. Oh, they moved their MacBook Air. Okay, that's fair. Dodge's first electric muscle car. Who cares? Microsoft ends apps. Yeah, so Google is starting to squash more spam and AI in search results.
Yeah.
It's actually a positive
Yep,
story,
yep.
a positive headline.
Yep.
So, to just think, I
You're right.
don't want to like get
You're
us
right.
canceled here, but think about some of the errors it made, right? The Bard, we don't call it Bard anymore, Gemini made. And had they made the opposite error in the other direction, it would be the only story on any of these sites.
And that would have been what damages their brand. You're right.
That would have hurt. The stock price will rebound. That's just Wall Street being Wall Street. Yeah.
And I suppose what you've just outlined is the very incentive structure that allows this to happen, right? If you're going to be super risk adverse, remember the whole reason why supposedly OpenAI got ChatGPT out before them is because Google was moving slowly and intentionally and didn't feel their products were ready for wide use yet. So now they had to shift gear and they had to move fast. And well, now this is what we got. But because they had to move fast, they decided to put an AI safety team member in every meeting about the AI system. And whenever they raised an objection, they would just defer to the AI safety person because that is the risk-adverse thing to do. And when you make 1,000 of those decisions over a period of multiple years, every day you're making another risk-adverse decision, no one gets fired for choosing the risk-adverse path, right? But you would get fired, and that's kind of why like Twitter can do Grok, which is a little spicier, because Elon's the one saying make it spicy. It's coming from the top. The top down is saying make it spicy. We want to differentiate by we have a funny mode and a creative mode or whatever, and it's going to say ludicrous things. But that's not Google. Google would never do that. That's way too risky in their world. And so what you've just outlined is the very human nature, basic, cover your butt incentive structure that gave us Gemini. And perhaps you've identified a flaw in these giant corporations that are producing these LLMs in the first place. Like this may just be an intrinsic issue with LLMs that come from companies like this.
Well, all software has problems and is far from perfect. And the expectation that the software will be different is, I think, a little naive. We made fun of the story a little bit. I think it is funny. I also thought when, Microsoft Tay became, the furor, I thought that was pretty funny too. But these are not these are just bugs, right? Like this is a stupid one. So was Tay.
Yeah, bug is it's not a bug because you don't just accidentally build a large language model like this. It doesn't just
it is a bug, right? You could see how they got here with good intentions, right? What they didn't want was some 16-year-old edgelord to here's a picture of my sister, put her in an SS uniform, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a story in New Jersey.
So instead, they put Native Americans in Nazi uniforms and things like that. Like that's just as insulting,
because
really, isn't it?
What were they afraid of? Right? They were afraid of the story on the front page of The Verge that says Google helps Nazi propaganda site make their content. I mean, I don't know. This is, really, we're going to get into Star Trek's territory, or we're going to get into Babylon 5 territory actually here, right? Do you just let the machines run, right? The Shadows way, and it'll all kind of suss itself out eventually, which is kind of what I believe. Or do you have to have Vorlon level control? And, but that means that you become the thought police. Right? Ironically, the anti-fascists will become the fascists.
Yeah. So and it all happens in the context, in a broader social context, where we're really debating what is the right kind of information control, what is misinformation, what should be said, what can't be said. And some people are now trying to push that after years of having a really narrow field of conversation. So it's like these models are coming out at a time where, as a society, we are very much grappling with information censorship debates.
Yeah, but you need to look at these models like you look at small children, right? Like kids say stupid crap. And what do? Do you take a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old who says something inappropriate at Thanksgiving and, lock him in a room for the rest of his life? Or do you have, you try to fix it?
Right. And to double down on that analogy, if you are a New York Times writer or a president, or, a politician, and you go ask the young baby AI some question, and you don't verify what it tells you, and you run with it, that'd be just as stupid as a 5 or 6 year old giving you some world information and you run with it. It's irresponsible on the user's part.
It is, but kind of my last point, then I'll pass it back to you. The worst possible outcome here is hasty legislation towards regulation that all it will do was dig a giant government-funded and government-protected moat. Frankly, Trump wanted to build a wall. If the government does this and gives these big tech companies the, quote, regulation they're so happy to cooperate with, it will be the death of a bunch of potential startups. It will entrench their monopolies, and we just have to grow the hell up.
Yeah, and not only that, Mike, but it's not just that. It's bad information for everybody. I mean, you're looking at it from a business standpoint, but I'm thinking from a humanity standpoint.
It's not just a business standpoint. It's I know, people have snapped at me for saying this before, but there's a difference between punching someone in the face and, having your software maybe say something off color.
Yeah.
And we just need to get the hell over it. Words are words. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Just come on. We all used to know that in preschool. And
I think
all of
where
a
people
sudden
take
we
this
forgot.
Is the ultimate version, which is probably not really what would happen. But I think where a lot of today's concern comes from is people are projecting into a future where all information comes from these LLMs. Google search is no longer a thing or whatever. Right. It's like everything comes from, you wake up in the morning and the LLM tells you the news, I guess.
No, they're projecting into a future November, whatever Trump gets elected. That's what this is about.
Okay.
But let me project into a different future.
All right.
Where, and if you've ever been in a civil court, a mean text message goes from, something that makes you look bad and, it might hurt you in damages for something, to a felony. And you only have to look at our friends across the pond to see what's going on with this. So I think we need to be pretty radical on the speech stuff, and because that's how it just, I'm sorry, but you and I, when we went to school, when we were kids, everybody learned, yes, you would get in trouble for saying something nasty to somebody. But there's a big difference between, shoving Jimmy and punching Jimmy in the face. And I truly feel that half the country as a culture has kind of forgotten that. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old.
And you think that, and you're saying that kind of extends to the reaction we're seeing now around.
Well, I'm saying that the big tech companies are taking advantage of these people, these well-meaning people who want to regulate speech for what they would call sensitivity or inclusiveness.
I see.
I would call just be nice, right? Again, a thing you learn in preschool. The amorphous corporations that run all these systems and have effective, monopolies do not give a crap, right? They just want to build their moat, and they would love if Uncle Sam enforced that moat for them.
Right. So they'll use the pearl clutchers to get what they want.
Right. But then the problem is, I would urge you, if you're writing me a nasty email right now, what's the end game for y'all? Do you start arresting people for things they posted online when they were 18? I mean, seriously, what if you're going to criminalize? I mean, even the canceling stuff to me is outrageous. But you want to take it to the next step and have it be government enforced. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Where does
throw
it
them
end?
in jail?
Where does
it end?
Retraining. You just got to send them to re-education.
Re-education, right? Isn't that just called sensitivity training?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
See, this got spicy.
I think what we're both we're dancing around this idea that we're grappling with these really, really big social questions that directly impact the development of these LLMs and how these companies are building them and what they can do, what they can't do.
Right. Well, yeah,
it'd
that point.
It'd be really great if we could, and it's never going to happen, but wouldn't it be really great if we could just solve all those social issues and then build these LLMs? But that's not.
But there's always going to be new social issues, right?
Yeah.
But Danny has a great point in the chat here. Here's a crazy idea: create an LLM that assumes users are smart enough to make their own decisions. Right. The premise that me and Chris talk about this all the time. The premise that a lot of these we have to regulate everything has to be safe, is that people are idiots, right? They just assume that your average Joe or Jane is a complete moron, which I don't believe. Even Florida man isn't like stupid. He's just crazy. There's a difference.
Yeah, I think there is a fear that the average folk are going to make the wrong decision. And I think there's probably a lot of things out there that would give them that impression. You know, I would argue that there's probably other systemic issues, but there's no time machine, right? There's no way to solve this, but there's issues around this that really concern me, and that is we do build these tools that basically pretend like a certain things don't exist or certain things do exist, and then we bake them into everything. That does kind of raise my hackles just a little bit. And the other thing that I think is going to be really a wild thing to watch is what happens in a future where a story is persona non grata. You know, maybe it's a story going around and you're not really supposed to be talking about it. You know, maybe it's a politician's kids in some sort of trouble or something to that. You know, you could picture multiple different scenarios. And what's going to be really wild is to see how the commercial LLMs and the open source stuff handle these types of bits of history differently. And, you know, to the point about getting an LLM that just assumes you're smart, that's going to be the market for the open source stuff. That's going to be the market for the stuff that you can run on your own local MacBook or your Linux box, right? That's what the market's going to be there. And the question will be, will it have the networking capabilities that the commercial hosted stuff's going to have? Will you have the APIs that you can connect to? Will it be able to book you the flight and book you the hotel and rent you the car and send you the email with the summary, like Gemini no doubt will do one day? Or are those going to be services and APIs that are big commercial contracts that are deals on the back room between OpenAI and, you know, flights.com or something like that? Or, you know, maybe it's a plugin that somebody has to develop for OpenAI's system.
Well, why wouldn't they be deals on the back end? I mean,
exactly.
If we've learned anything, yeah.
So it's just going to be, whew. So but I feel like in June, we're going to get an idea of where Apple stands in all of this and get an idea of how viable it's going to be for developers to create just these little standalone apps with an LLM built in that just runs on neural processors when the user executes it. No doubt Intel and others will copy this same idea. They probably already are. But ultimately, our best shot is if it does become excessively, stupidly easy to run this stuff on a local machine. And I'm reminded of H.264 playback. When Blu-ray and H.264 was first brand new, and we were on the Intel processors of the era, you couldn't at first play back H.264 HD content or 4K content either, like for my drone. Like I could not play it back even on a current laptop of the time. And then, as time went on, pretty soon you could play H.264 video on tiny little embedded devices because we built those accelerators. Or they were GPU accelerated, depending on the pipeline. And I feel like that's the exact direction we're going to watch AI stuff goes. It's really slow right now, but it's going to be much like H.264 and video encoding, which now can be bonkers fast. I think the same thing's going to happen, and you'll just have these complex LLMs built into the local desktop application or the local mobile application, and it'll just be generating images lickety-split in a few seconds for you, or auto-generating text or whatever it might be, as easy as we now decode H.264 video.
From your lips to intransigent senators' ears.
Ask not what your podcast can boost for you, but what you can boost for your podcast.
Anonymous comes in from Podverse. I don't know if that was intentional or intentional.
I'm assuming they're still Legion.
Probably. With 77,777 sats. Hey-o! Now, I think I have a suspicion who this is, but I don't want to out them. They say in September 23, I topped off my Albi wallet in order to support JB, and from that time, I boosted some amounts. But I checked back in just now, and I realized that the balance is actually worth a lot more thanks to the value of Bitcoin. So I topped it off a bit, and I'm sending you some of my profits, more to come. Thank you, Anonymous. Wink, wink.
Look at that. The free market hard at work.
Isn't that fantastic?
No regulation required.
Thank you for that boost. Noob Steve comes in. 50,000 sats.
I hoard that which your kind covet.
Now, here's my second boost since I've been slacking. As far as Fountain FM goes, the CarPlay support just doesn't work well for me. Sometimes I pick an episode from my phone, And then I switched to the CarPlay app, and I think he doesn't have control over it anymore. But he wanted to mention a Florida high school music. Oh, yeah, it's Florida high school. Oh, yeah, right. He wanted to mention his Florida high school music program that we'd mentioned once before on the show. If anybody would like to help contribute to it, he's putting together at pantherprideboosters.org/donate. I'll put a link to that in the notes for you too, Noob Steve. pantherprideboosters.org. Right. And he says also, in case Taylor Swift is listening, which I'm pretty sure she does, we still love you. But if you built us a Taylor Swift stadium, we might love you a little bit more. Because their concerts and cafeterias, they need work right now. He says it's wishful thinking. He's going to stop, but he also wants to know if we're interested in the new Ghostbusters movies. You know, I kind of am getting interested, I guess.
I'll probably take a look.
One of the things that I like about it is the VFX artist guys did a cool breakdown of the effects, and it looks like they're using a lot more practical inspired effects for the new Ghostbusters movie, and that could be fun to see. Thanks, Noob Steve. And again, it's pantherprideboosters.org/donate if anybody wants to help him organize that high school music. Tampa Tech Trekkie comes in with 35,000 sats.
Make it so.
So we asked, how is Google going to fix this? He says, I think at this point, they have to sacrifice their CEO to appease not only shareholders, but customers. Is it Sundar's fault? No. But honestly, I'd think twice before using any of Google's services without a mea culpa, as an acknowledgement that Google's products have ultimately suffered under Sundar's leadership. Android doesn't seem to be a priority anymore. Their custom silicon is lackluster compared to Apple. Search has actually gotten worse. And AI, well, forget about it. He's right. Tampa Tech Trekkie is right. Everything under Sundar does seem like it's gotten kind of worse. Things keep working, but can you name a single thing that's... I mean, Android does seem like it's gotten better, but it doesn't feel like a priority. They feel like a small group inside.
Yeah.
What a weird phase they're going through. VT52 comes in with 20. Thank you for that boost. VT52 comes in with 20,000 sats.
Coming in hot with the boost.
He writes, I work on a major popular AI product, and right now, it's all sticks and glue on top of an LLM every day. I'm amazed any of it works. Here's my predictions for the next 6 to 18 months. All right. I'm here for this. Okay. Number 1, agents become the next hot thing. All right. OpenAI holds on to its prime mover advantage for a while, but loses mindshare because the APIs are not great. Without guardrail and hindrance, fast LLMs will take off, and overall, large language models are just going to become more commoditized. Yeah, I could see that. I could see, though, OpenAI keeping an enterprise lead. You know, they could continue to iterate on those feature sets. They have that Microsoft selling partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also, of course, they'll have agents, and they'll have all those things that, you know, people can build their own GPTs now, and they'll have those app stores and stuff. So I think they're gonna keep their momentum. But you're right. I think the LLM becomes commoditized, and what it's built into, how fast it runs, and its data sources have got to be what differentiate them. That's why I thought it was Google's game. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I mean, I'm surprised that OpenAI hasn't been able to dunk a little harder. But they also have their own internal political problems, right? With the, you know, people who are afraid of it.
Yeah, and they have that lawsuit with Elon now, which could have some... Hey, it may have some juicy discovery around that time where they switched from nonprofit. I mean, that could be interesting if it gets that far.
I mean, we all know, you know, Sam wants to be the master of the universe, right? I mean, but so do they all, so.
That's true. DG at PTC comes in with 10,000 sats. Let's not forget that last month, Pachai sent that layoffs memo basically threatening the entire company. I was thinking about that too. He writes, everyone at Google is afraid to lose their jobs. Obviously, people with some sense knew that Gemini was a freak show, but no one said anything thanks to the culture and fear that Sundar Pichai has cultivated over the past year with his slow drip layoff strategy. Side note to that, I think that's very insightful, DG at PTC. I guess an engineer, these are all things that I'm hearing via people on Twitter, but I guess an engineer stood up at a meeting recently and said, I actually noticed we had some problems, but when AI safety's in the room, if I stood up and said anything, I would have lost my job. I would have been fired, and I would have been called a racist. And everybody in the room nods their head and goes, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Wow, so saying something against the orthodoxy in front of the secret police could make you be punished?
Who knew?
Who knew?
It continues. Chris recommended Linux admins familiarize themselves with Nix OS a few episodes back. It looks like they have an installer you can add onto an existing Linux install and an OS installer. Which do you recommend? I actually recommend
Chris.
you just use their installer on your favorite distro, including Mac OS. I think Nix is a fantastic alternative to Brew. I think you can run them both. I think I actually do run them both. You could dig around. My buddy Alex, he can set up a brand new MacBook from scratch in just with everything in 15 minutes or something, because the deal with Nix is not only do you define the software that gets installed, but you can define a lot of the configuration, like where the config files or pref files live, or just some of the things that you have to set up in each individual app. If they support getting installed through Nix, sometimes they support like granular level configuration of the applications. You don't have to do that. I don't. But if you want to, then it installs things for you and gets it up and going quite quickly. The other nice thing is there is a ginormous library of software packaged for Nix, and it's just a quick Nix install away. And there's this really neat little ephemeral shell thing you can do with Nix where you can just try something for a bit and then blow it away. I like the OS too, because once you start to learn and love the package manager, then you kind of want the whole system managed from that package manager. That's where the OS is nice. But start with just learning the package manager. Put it on Ubuntu and stop using PPAs. Put it on Fedora and stop using Copper or RPM Fusion. Just use the base repository manager for the base packages and then install stuff from Nix and manage it there. You get newer versions, easier to manage. That's Chris's hot tip. You like it? Heck yeah! Heck yeah!
It's so good I can't breathe.
Odin's Ride comes in with 5,000 sats.
407 boosters.
Awesome show as usual, guys. Can you please share what is the show's outro song? I love it. That is Ronald Jenkins. If anybody in the chat remembers the actual track.
I was going to say Ronald Jenkins, too. I don't remember the name of the song.
Yeah, it's like his second album. And the reason why I don't remember is because it's Ronald.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and he does several of the songs. So they all kind of blur together. But I'll play it, and then you can Shazam it on our way out. But somebody in the chat room might remember. If they do, I'll do a real-time update. Thank you for the boost. Thank you, everybody, for the boost. That was a good batch. We had a new booster, I think, come in. The Bitvarian Man. He was under the 2,000 sat cutoff, but I thought that was pretty neat since I think he's brand new. He says he found us on Fountain. We had 7 boosters total. We stacked 198,277 sats. Pretty close. Pretty close to that 200 sat limit.
Yeah, just shy.
Or goal, I should say. Now, guys. Next week's episode is going to be pre-recorded. We're about to record next week's episode. So, you got a chance. If you boost in, you won't hear it in next week's episode, but then you boost that episode. Maybe the next one we could get well above that 200 because we could essentially be stacking for 2 episodes. You know what I'm saying? So go get a new podcast app. Fountain FM's getting better than ever. I've been working with the team to add new improvements and fix things around live streaming. Podverse is open source and GPL, and Cast-O-Matic is fantastic on iOS. Podcastapps.com. Go grab one, top it off with some sats, send us a message, and support each individual production using the Lightning Network, which is a peer-to-peer open source network with no middleman. I don't know if you saw this, but one of the various open collectives is shutting down. They host some of my favorite projects like Patreon for open source. And
that sucks.
Yeah, it kind of just comes down to the fees. They can't make any money because the fees are too high. There's like 6 middlemen in there. It's crazy. It's a shame. Hey, before we get out of here, you got anywhere you want to send people?
Go to alice.dev, but you know what? Forget that for this week. Go if you got a couple. I know things are tight these days, believe me. It's rough. But if you can help out the Panthers over there with their musical needs for the kids, throw them $5 or $10, whatever, help them out. I'm going to give them something later today.
I like it. That's my link for the week as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you to our members who make this show possible. We really appreciate you. We've got no sponsors right now. And the only way we can make sure Editor Drew gets paid and keeps the lights on and all of that is with those members. So big props to them. If you'd like to sign up, coder.show/membership, and we have a link on our website over there. Also on that website, links to what we talked about today. You can find them at coder.show/560. Contact forms over there. You can send us an email. You can see our RSS feed. That's really simple, and it's syndicated. You can put it in your catcher of choice. And you can podcatch it however you like. Or you can find us on the index. That's it. That's all the hot tips I got for you. We will not be live next week, but we are typically live on Tuesdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern over at jblive.tv. That's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here next week. I don't know if you could cut this in, Drew, but I could say this. Oh, and a real-time update. It looks like the name of our outro song is Clutter. So there you go, Clutter by Ronald Jenkins. I don't know. If you can fit that in, Drew, great. Not a big deal if you can't. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, I'm losing my voice. I don't know why.
I know.
My voice is going out on me.
No, this has been a matter. And it's funny. I was going to try to make this show short, and then you activated my inner elephant.
They love it when we do that too. They love it.
I'm going to ignore Twitter for a few days.
They'll just tune out at the beginning. Anyway.
Question: why is Clean Feed showing my headphones underneath my name now? It usually doesn't do that.
Headphones under your name? I don't see that. What now?
I mean, it seems fine.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. It shows headphones under my name, too. I don't see it under your name, but I see it under mine. Does it just mean we're using headphones?
Oh, you can change the... Okay, I don't want to fuck with that.
That's what it means, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess it does something. I've never seen it. It's never done it before.
It's funny because I have the same thing. I didn't notice it until you said it.
Well, I just didn't want us to go to the next episode and be like, oh, actually, we messed it up, and it's terrible.
Right. Well, I do have a backup, so... Oh. You know me. All right, so we got to pick a title and then, we should take a little break. And,
a wee break.
Yeah. And then we'll come back and do 561. Hopefully I don't lose my voice.
All right.
So let's get the chat room voting. You take your break.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, chat room. Let's get comfortable and pick a title.
What the
fuck? This here is the smooth voting moment. Kick back and help title this damn show.
I think this is how you should do the show. It was all the shows.
Just play this, go real cash.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right. I kind of like artificial information. That's pretty good, Wes. I'm going to give that a vote. Oh, yeah, it's got 4 votes already. I think that's probably our wiener. Nicely done. Well, that was quick and non-dramatic. Artificial information is a winner. Yeah. Cuda Radio intermission. Welcome in, friends. I guess it's time to start a new batch of titles. I like that. Woo! What? Another one? I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Okie dokies.
All right. Well, show's over.
This song seems to be a merge of My Chemical Romance and the Coder Radio theme.
Well, it is the outro. That's why I was playing it. It's the outro. All right. I think we're ready then. Are you ready? Over there, we got the title bot started, so we just need some bang suggestals.
And, oui, monsieur.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hit record over here. 561. I'm going to be in California. Hello, Drew. 561. Mr. Dominic, please jump in at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Boom. It's Power Hour. Here we go. Coda Radio 561. In a 3, in a 2. Chat room, please bang suggest. That's fun. That's pretty fun. This is Coda Radio, episode 561 for March. Oh, wait. No, not March 5th. When is it?
March 12th.
12th. Okay, here we go. One more time. Get it right, chat room. God. Man, and I haven't seen anybody bang suggest yet. This is Coda Radio, episode 561 for March 12th, 2024. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business of software development and the whole world of technology. My name is Chris, on the road to scale, and it's our host, Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
Still here in the swamps, being held prisoner by an alligator.
Would you rather be held prisoner by an alligator in the swamps or driving through California traffic to get to Pasadena?
Oh, the alligator. He handed me a cigar and a martini. And I newly discovered water. By the way, beverages should sponsor all our shows.
I agree.
Waterloo Seltzer Water, lemon lime. It was on sale, buy one, get one at Publix.
Wait a minute. You're telling me they put the lemon and the lime right in the water?
I don't know what went on, and it's carbonated, so it's like you're drinking a cocktail, but it's not. So I love it, and this is the most Florida intro I've ever done. At your local Publix, it was buy one, get one, so
well,
for an 8-pack.
Pour one out, boys, because the question I think has to be asked, is 4% enough? Because it looks like Linux has crossed the 4% desktop market share. That's at least according to StatCounter, a leading web traffic analysis tool. They report that Linux's market share has reached 4.03%. I mean, 4%'s not bad, right? I kind of feel like 4%-ish is when people started taking the Mac a little more seriously again. It was years ago now.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I mean, I think, so I don't know if this is the Weapon X algorithm, but my feed is full of people either switching to WSL for obviously Windows, right? Or Linux, because they're like, it's all these angry, disgruntled indie Mac developers and iOS developers who are like, screw this. I'm going to go do web dev again.
I'm seeing that. And I think we do have a bit of a selection bias there, but I am seeing that. And I mean, I am also seeing people talking about WSL, and I'm not out there looking for people running WSL, but they're showing up on my feed.
I got to be honest with you, on that fancy Dell behind me, I had to do by the way, I had to do Windows XP programming this week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Are you all right? You need to lie down?
I cried. I drank a bit. It's all right.
Okay.
You recover.
Yeah.
I did the thing where you cry cradling yourself in the shower for a while.
Yeah. Good. Okay. That's how you do it.
Right. With a bottle of Hendrix beside me. Even depressed, I still keep it classy.
Yeah.
But they're simultaneously running XP and 10 and .NET 3.5. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's fun. Oh boy.
Yeah. But the other part of the system is Python. And it was originally developed on my MacBook. I really wish I didn't buy.
Really?
It's just it's stupidly overkill, and it's heavy. It barely fits in my briefcase. I got so much so that I had to go out. I guess for the listeners, it would be 2 weeks ago by the time they hear this. And I just took my Dev 1 because I'm like, you know what? I'm not lugging this thing around.
Oh man. Oh, good.
Well, it actually misshapes my briefcase. It's just too big.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
which makes me think it's offering no protection to it, and I'm like, this thing was $5,000. Like I'm on it right now. Don't get me wrong, it's the best non-desktop I've had. And like the Dell has all the complaints that, you know, people who've been using Apple would have about a Dell, that it's loud, the fans kick up all the time for no reason. But I got to tell you, once you pop VS Code into full screen mode and you open I'm still using Penguin, we should probably put a link to them in the show notes. Their flavor of WSL2, it's Debian, but they have a bunch of like helper extensions. It's really good. And then I was in Pop, and I ended up just doing a clean install because I haven't used Pop seriously in a long time. It's also really good. Like I don't know what System 76 is charging for like a replacement laptop these days, but I know I didn't pay a lot for the Dev 1, and that's not like Micah's precious and special thing. That's just they didn't. By the way, they discontinued them because I think that I almost feel like they underpriced them. They were a little aggressive on that pricing, but it's like, damn. Like I have to go on a trip to New Jersey and New York in a couple months, and I'm literally afraid to take my MacBook Pro because so many things can happen, right? Like I could drop it. It could get, if I put it in my luggage, because I sometimes do that. I know you're not supposed to. What if my suitcase gets lost? And it's just so much easier for me to lose like a $1,600 laptop than a $5,000 laptop. I don't know.
It tickles me to hear that for some reason. I don't know why. They are ludicrously big, and you know, as they update and improve them in another cycle or so, the Air is going to be able to do what your big monster can do.
Oh, I'd probably be happy if I had an Air, right? Well, the other thing too is like I have, so Warp Terminal, my terminal of choice these days, just came over to Linux officially. I was in the testing group. It was a little jank in the beginning for Linux, but by the beta it was fine. And now the production version is just exactly on par with the Mac version. So literally my tool chain between Pop OS and Mac OS is identical.
That's nice.
The only sacrifice I make on Windows is that I have to use their terminal. I'm using the Microsoft terminal, and I don't get some of like the smart completions that Warp gives me. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's a little annoying, but it's not that big of a deal, right? I've got my VS Code syncing up via GitHub. It's kind of getting sick. I don't know, and I don't know. I mean, this is a long conversation. I mean, I'll deliver it a little bit. So like the Ruby stuff, because I'm doing a crap ton of Ruby.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of like little irritants because like it's ARM and Ruby doesn't handle that well. So when I go to deploy to i86 or AMD 64 Linux, which is all the servers we have, sometimes I'll forget that I have to like add the stupid thing that says also build have bundler package for Linux too. Yeah, it's just it's like little paper cuts on Mac for the development stuff that I'm doing. It's getting like, I don't know.
Annoying, obnoxious, time sinking, soul killing. Those things.
Soul killing seems like a lot.
Yeah.
I would say the value prop is starting to trend the wrong way.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what they do. Maybe they'll tidy things up. In the meantime, I got a little bit of a goulash for you. I don't know. Mom would sometimes take like noodles and a sauce and a meat like from the week, and she'd throw them all in a pan and bake it. And I think goulash is actually supposed to be a thing, but Mom's goulash, that was really just a leftover goulash. That's what I got for us this week, because there's been a lot of little stories that I've wanted to talk to you about, but we just haven't had time. And so I'm going to hit pause, and I'm going to service this up because, you know what, it actually is pretty tasty. Well, maybe this first story might leave a bad taste in your mouth. This got sent in a lot. We covered it recently. And now Nvidia has responded. We talked about the Zula, which would let you, or Zluda, which would let you essentially have binary compatibility with Cuda on AMD hardware. Big deal, because Cuda is a monster in the AI space, and Cuda has just become like the industry standard. And so it really leaves some great hardware out, especially on the AMD side. And I think Intel had funded this at one point, and AMD had funded another point, and then an open source developer got it over the finish line, and we got Zluda. And then we announced it on the show, and then a couple of days after the show, Nvidia updated their end user license agreement that they ship with Cuda that clarifies, not just online now, but in the documentation placed on the host system. The new language says you cannot use a translation layer. It appears to be designed to prevent initiatives just like Saluda, to just kind of try to cut them off at the knees and keep everybody locked into Cuda. And I guess they have every right to do it, I suppose. But it makes me frustrated as somebody who doesn't want to go out there and buy really expensive Nvidia hardware. But this is it's kind of this nonstop onslaught of stuff designed for Nvidia when you're trying to get into this space. And I guess I'm left with, how are we ever going to solve this Nvidia problem? They make horrible drivers. They have a complete lockdown on the CUDA space. And now they are making it clear that using Saluda is a violation of their end user license agreement. It also appears to be a move to cut off some of the Chinese GPU manufacturers who are creating CUDA compatible cores with translation code on the GPU. So they have been working on coming up with some sort of on-chip CUDA translator. And we're planning, I suppose, although I don't know if they ever hit the markets, to sell them on the market. And the speculation is Nvidia is also concerned about that. I see no way of solving this problem. We are locked in.
They can put whatever the hell they want in that agreement. That sucks.
We got to get off the CUDA sauce. I remember I was told years ago by somebody who was working in the space, it was like, oh yeah, no, we build everything around Cuda. They have this Red Hat workstation build that has a very specific NVIDIA card in it and a very specific version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And they just use it for this purpose-built thing. And when they update it, it's every 5 to 10 years or something, they get a new one. It's this really long upgrade cycle. And they spend tons of money on these high-end corporate video cards.
So did you see the news that, I don't know if Facebook came out with it publicly or leaked it, but it definitely came from them, that the reason they took such a hit in terms of spending the last couple quarters is Zuckerberg has been secretly buying as many NVIDIA CUDA chips as he could get his hands on.
That big hit that happened to him it was a year ago or something when their stock tanked because, remember, their CapEx expense was so high.
Yeah, that's what it was. He just went out and
got a bunch of GPUs.
Went ham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clever boy.
Clever boy.
And he took a beating for it, which really shows you, again, that the Zuck is willing to look like a fool short term for a strategy long term. I maintain I think he's more clever, more big picture than we give him credit because...
Oh, he obviously is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
dude reads antiquity history, Roman history, and his hero is Augustus Caesar. I mean, he's thinking of his chessboard's pretty big.
You know what? The problem is that everybody thought they were buying the GPUs for the metaverse, and that's why the market hated it. But if they would just said we were buying it for AI, then it would have been
couldn't, because think about this: he's buying something that he knows that if he says why he's buying it, the price is going to go up. So he would, like you said, he needed to take some egg on his face temporarily, because now he looks brilliant. Because in the way the trend is going, what he spent relative to the quantity he received or will receive,
right,
is a great deal, right? And Nvidia, the story I read, is basically bound to honor their deal with him.
And on top of that, supply is constrained now, right? So he got in before all these orders. So he's going to have supply when others are struggling. Good. He also said something that I thought was great when asked, why are you open sourcing these LLMs as much as they are open? And he said, because an LLM is not the core function of our business. We use these to make our core function better. And so we figure we'll put them out there, see if people iterate on them and improve on them, and then it'll make our core business functions better too. And I was trying to put together what is their motivation over at Meta for releasing Llama 2 and all that. And I think that kind of checks out. They're not selling their LLM as a particular Meta service. They're using it inside Meta for various things. Content moderation being one of many. And so for them, it's not a big deal to just release it open source. Maybe they'll get some improvements for it and make their service better. Clever, I guess. They're thinking. I want to take a moment and thank our members, our Coder QA crew, coder.show/membership. If you're not a member yet, please consider signing up and support this here show. It is solely supported by our members and our boosters, and we appreciate both. Thank you so much. Coder.show/membership, or boost us with a new podcast app at podcastapps.com. What do you think about this headline from Josh Austin? Java is becoming more like Rust, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think this is good, right? This Java's adding immutable data types, algebraic data types, all rusty sort of things.
It slowly works these things in. Low key, right? It works them in over time.
It kind of I think it's kind of illustrative of the fact that, we get these, Rust or whatever the new sexiness is this year is going to kill everything. And that's usually not true. What happens is, the new hotness does something, and the more mature technologies don't fundamentally change, but they look at it and they kind of borrow bits and pieces of it and go from there. I think it's a good example of how this should work, right? This shouldn't just be we replace our whole stack every 5 years because we, are insane. It should be, when something that makes sense goes on in another stack, another platform, another development community, you should definitely look at it, try it out, and then see, can you adapt it to yours? This is what should have happened with Objective-C, frankly. You knew it was coming.
Too soon. Yeah. I should have like a bingo board in here. Okay, all right, mark that one off. Oh, Objective-C. We hardly knew ye. Microsoft has announced that they plan to end their Android apps on Windows 11 subsystem next year. No more new Android apps, though, from March forward next year. And they're also going to phase out support for the Amazon Android App Store. Well, I guess that experiment's over, huh?
Yeah, that makes sense, though, right?
I don't know. I just had this experience with my son, who's just recently got back into Plants vs. Zombies 2, and he's watching YouTubers play Plants vs. Zombies 2, and they have all these mods, and he's like, oh, Dad, it looks so much better when you play it on the PC. Can we get my computer set up to play Plants vs. Zombies 2? And I say, sure, kid. How hard could it be? Well, it turns out they stopped distributing Plants vs. Zombies for the PC a long time ago, long time ago. And so now people use Android emulators to play these games on the PC. And it was a solved problem on Windows. You can use BlueStacks as well. There's other ones, but it's not such a solved problem depending on your Linux setup. I've tried like Waydroid and Geomotion and a couple others, and they've all had problems. And so, his Windows buddies are able to do this kind of stuff, and he cannot. And it's actually a feature that for kids and stuff, I think kind of tracks. There's games that are just released on Android that they want to play on the computer once they get serious about it.
Right. Well, wouldn't this just be solved by xCloud? Especially for something like Plants vs. Zombies?
Yeah, maybe if they put it on there. Yeah, I don't know if Plants vs. Yeah, good question.
I have no idea.
Of course, he wants to mod it and all that kind of all that stuff.
That's like my boy too. We're modding things.
Yeah. That's not so great. And then one last bit of Microsoft news I just wanted to get to, because this is going to be shortly after this episode comes out, the week after this episode comes out. Microsoft has an event scheduled, and they really, really want you to buy a Surface Laptop 6. It's going to have an OLED in there. It's going to have some sort of Intel Core Ultra version, and there's also supposedly going to be an ARM Snapdragon X Elite version. So an Intel Core Ultra or a Snapdragon. And you're going to have a new Surface Pro 10 as well. So the Laptop 6, and they're going to be, Microsoft's going to call them AI PCs. They're going to be, that's what they're
Lord.
Yeah. And they're going to have an AI Explorer edition, supposedly. So that'd be that. I was actually kind of into it until I saw that branding. Of course, Apple just did the same thing with their laptops. They said they were like the best AI consumer laptops. So that's how everybody's going to be positioning these things now. But I wonder how they can, how Microsoft can make that claim unless they're having some sort of solution to Cuda in there. I don't know. I mean, I know they have maybe their Snapdragon versions have some neural processors. I'm just not so sure about that. They say, though, that the Snapdragon version should have excellent battery life and potentially will have cellular connectivity. While the ARM compatibility isn't all there, it's getting better. But, of course, they just dropped Android support. So I think one of the benefits of having the ARM version of Android maybe just went away. But perhaps your future laptop awaits you. A Microsoft AI-first laptop with WSL ready to go to run all your AI gerbs. Huh?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. All right, I tried. All right, well, then here's the last thing I got for you before we run. Like I told you, it's a mom's goulash. I just thought this hit right, and I just like to sometimes bring it back to the business side of things. And Jeff Bezos, your buddy, was getting interviewed, and he has a very simple but logical view on what makes for a good business and what makes for a bad business. And the guy might know what he's talking about. So I wanted to grab that clip since we do like to talk about the business side of things.
I very frequently get the question, what's going to change in the next 10 years? And that is an interesting question. It's a very common one. I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And I submit to you that second question is actually the more important of the two. Because you can build a business strategy around the things that are stable in time. And so as you pointed out, in our retail business, we know that customers want low prices. And I know that's going to be true 10 years from now. They want fast delivery. They want vast selection. It's impossible to imagine a future 10 years from now where a customer comes up to me and says, Jeff, I love Amazon. I just wish the prices were a little higher. You know how I love Amazon. I just wish you delivered a little more slowly. Impossible. And so the effort that we put into those things, spinning those things up, we know the energy we put into it today will still be paying dividends for our customers 10 years from now. And so when you have something that you know is true, even over the long term, you can afford to put a lot of energy into it. On AWS, the big ideas are also pretty straightforward. It's impossible for me to imagine that 10 years from now, somebody is going to say, I love AWS, I just wish it were a little less reliable. Or I love AWS, I just wish you would raise prices. It should be a little more expensive. Or I love AWS, and I wish you would innovate and improve the APIs at a slightly slower rate. None of those things you can imagine. And so the big ideas in business are often very obvious, but it's very hard to maintain a firm grasp of the obvious at all times. But if you can do that and continue to spin up those flywheels and put energy into those things, as we're doing with AWS, over time, you build a better and better service for your customers on the things that genuinely matter to them.
I guess the bit that seemed a little insightful in there is that he says it's obvious, but it's not always easy to keep the obvious in front of you. Right? You can get distracted, you can get pulled away from it. And there's so much going on right now that I felt like some wisdom in there is figure out what will remain consistent throughout time, and then hold those obvious things tight and don't let the world change your mind. I feel like there's actually some pretty sound advice in there from the old rich Jeff Bezos, who's now, once again, the world's richest man because Elon's Tesla stock's hammered.
And the most powerful Florida man.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just cashed out $8 billion in stock there in Miami because he would have been taxed up the wazoo here in Washington State. Go figure.
That's right. Go figure. Move across the country to go be with your young girlfriend. That is a true Florida man move.
Oh, there you have it. No boost this week because we are pre-recording, but please do consider supporting this production because with no sponsors and no boost, it's just a short little show, and we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love your feedback. So do consider doing a new podcast app, trying out the Podcasting 2.0 features, and boosting the show or becoming a member. Mr. Dominic, is there anywhere you want to send the fine folks before we get out of here?
Go to alice.dev for your data translation and automation needs, and one day I will get that pitch tighter.
You know, if you're listening around the time this episode comes out, meetup.com/Jupiter Broadcasting, y'all, I'm doing a lunch this Saturday.
Ooh.
As this is going out on Saturday, March 16th, 2024, 1:30 p.m., Pasadena, California, at the Yard House. Come hang out with myself, Mr. Wes Payne, and Brentley from Linux Unplugged, and some of the other JB family out there. We'll be at Scale and NixCon starting at the end of this week. So if you're listening just shortly after this came out, I'd love to see you over there. Details at meetup.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. Now, if I didn't catch you there, I'll be at Texas Linux Fest shortly after that, and then there's Linux Fest Northwest just a little bit after that. And rumor has it, maybe even making an appearance at Red Hat Summit in May. So there'll be lots of opportunities. If you're going to be at any of those and want to do a meetup, just sign up now at meetup.com/Jupiter Broadcasting, and then we'll blast it out when we are in that area. All right. I think that's everything for us this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We always love having you join us live. We will be back to our regular live time, Tuesdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, jblive.tv. You can get that converted in your local time over there at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. It's got a little script. We'll call it a bot. It's got an AI bot that will convert time for you. So it's a new feature because we're an AI Play podcast network with our AI calendar at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. AI-generated links are at coder.show/561, where you'll find our AI-generated RSS feed dynamically updated when episodes come out by AI. Maybe, maybe not. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode. See you next week. Thank you, Drew. All right. That was a short one, but that's all right. You know what? It's fine. That's fine. We do need a title, though. What do you think? Should I release the title hounds? I don't know if we got very many. We'll see. Oh, we got more than last time. Wow, that's actually pretty surprising to me. All right, get boating. Here we go. Unauthorized request. Get off the Cuda sauce. No Cuda for you. That's not bad.
That's not bad. I do like no Cuda for you.
Yeah, no Cuda for you is pretty good. I'm gonna give that a vote. Coder Bingo, Florida Man Bezos, Coder Goulash. Mike's XP. Get it? Experience of XP.
Yeah, nice.
California Coder Kitchen, but I think no Cuda for you is our winner, and I think it's pulling ahead already.
Yeah, I think it's, oh wow, 3 votes.
There you go, boom. People spoken.
This is about as democratic as Florida.
4 votes!
4, that's it. It's better than Florida now. You defeated the state of Florida. God damn it.
Oh no, 3 votes. Somebody took their boat away.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
sorry. I thought I was here for the gator fish fry. I like how Florida has become like a character on the show. It's just the state of Florida.
One day I'll be there and I'll get to experience it for myself. All right. Well, then I think we're going to go with no Cuda for you.
All right. Then 2 weeks.
Yeah. See you in 2 weeks, Mr. Dominic.
All right. Bye, chat room.
Bye. Bye. Thank you for joining me, chat room. If you've made it this whole dang time, you're impressive. You're an impressive individual. The stamina is remarkable. You should tell your friends and family what you've done today. What you've done here. Good job. Thank you for making it. Also, congratulations to DeckBot for being our title wiener. Appreciate that. I'm going to wrap it up. Be back on Sunday. Should be a fun one. Brent should be in studio. And then we're going to be packing it up and heading off to Scale. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you on Sunday.
Sometimes I feel like I'm the Commodore 64.